Hello everybody. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life." It's so important to guard our hearts, especially from offenses. The Greek word for offense is scandalon. It's the bait stick of a trap used by hunters to trap birds and animals. The animal comes and touches the trigger to take the bait, the trap snaps shut. In the same way, Satan uses a bait of offense to trap us. It's so easy for us to get offended with the people we live with, the people in our church, even with God, especially when we don't get our prayers answered or when we go through difficult times. Proverbs 19:11 says, "It is the honor and glory of a man to overlook transgression or offense." Many times when we are offended, the people don't even realize that we're offended with them, but then that offense is in our heart and it affects us. It affects our heart so much that it affects the way we relate to God and to people. It's like a pipe through which water should flow freely, but with time, with the sediments, like offenses, the pipe gets blocked and then we react differently. Proverbs 18:19 says, "A brother offended is harder to win than a strong city." So just imagine when we have problems with people close to us and we keep that offense, it would be easier to get a strong city than to settle the offense between that close person. So how do we deal with offenses? Firstly, we should realize that we are offended. When we see people, sometimes we feel some bitterness. That means you have some offense against them. Or when we pray, the Holy Spirit may remind you of someone you're offended with. Recognize that. Next, forgive them. Forgiving a person is a decision we make. You may not feel like it, but because God has forgiven us, we ought to forgive others. So secondly, you forgive them. And thirdly, pray for them and bless them. Initially, you may not feel like praying for them, but once you start praying for them and blessing them in the way that you would like God to bless you, that hurt in your heart and all those ill feelings will go. In Acts chapter 24, Paul is accused by the Jews for creating a tumult amongst the Jews and also profaning the temple. And Paul defends himself before Felix the governor. He doesn't become very angry, but he explains his case. And he says that all their accusations are baseless. And he tells him the truth. And eventually he ends with, in verse 15 and 16 we read, "I have hope in God, which they themselves also accept, that there will be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and the unjust." So Paul's hope is in the fact that there's a resurrection and that Jesus will judge everyone. And this being so, I myself always strive to have a conscience without offense toward God and men. And because of this faith, Paul always strives to have a conscience without offense toward God and men. We also, like Paul, should imitate him and always keep our conscience right and without any offense toward God and man. Thank you.